अरे ඔව් තාම ඇවිල්ලා ඉන්නවා. එක ඉන්නවද මේක ඉන්නේ. හරි දැන් මෙපා. හරි. හරි. මේ පැත්තෙන් ගත්තාම ඇති නේද? මේ පැත්තෙන් ගත්තා. තාමනේ මම තුරුට විතර පොඩ්ඩක් මෙයා ගන්න. ඩීල් සයින් කරන්න ඕනේ මේකේ. ලේසියෙන් වෙන් කරන්න බෑ අර කියලා. හරි. PGIA ඔක්කොම ඇතුළට එන්න. නෑ රිසෙප්ෂන් ගන්න දෙවි පෙට්‍රල්. යනාට ඉන්න කට්ටිය ඔක්කොම ඇතුළට යන්න.
Inaugural session of the 37th Annual Congress of the Postgraduate Institute of Agriculture will commence shortly. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the organizing committee, we warmly welcome you for the 37th Annual Congress of the Postgraduate Institute of Agriculture, University of Peradeniya. The Annual Congress of the Postgraduate Institute of Agriculture has always been an exciting and rewarding platform for the postgraduate researchers. Today, the annual Congress marks an important milestone in its history, reaching its 37th anniversary.
This year, the Postgraduate Institute of Agriculture, University of Peradeniya, celebrates its Golden Jubilee. 50 remarkable years of advancing agricultural science, producing skilled professionals, and contributing significantly to national and global agricultural development. The annual Congress is the flagship event in the academic calendar of the PGIA, providing a vibrant platform for academics and researchers to present and discuss the latest research in all agricultural disciplines and allied sciences. Established in 1975, the PGIA's primary objective has been to build national capacity for postgraduate education in agriculture and to produce well-trained scientific personnel to support the country's rapid expanding agricultural sector. Over the past 4 decades, the PGIA has evolved into a recognized center of excellence in postgraduate agricultural education.
Honoring the tradition, the 37th Annual Congress of the PGIA will gracefully commence with the ceremonial lighting of the oil lamp, symbolizing wisdom, prosperity, and the beginning of the meaningful academic gathering. We cordially invite
our chief guest, Dr. Jairo Villamil Diaz, Head of Mission, United Nations Industrial Development Organizations, UNIDO. Sir, we kindly invite you on stage. Professor Terence Madhujit, Vice Chancellor, University of Peradeniya.
keynote speaker Mr. Rizvi Sahid, Chairman, Sri Lanka Agripreneurs Forum and Director, Vitulanka PLC.
Professor Gamini Pushpakumara, Director, PGIA. Professor Barana Jayawardena, Dean, Faculty of Agriculture, University of Peradeniya. Professor Shyama Bannahaka, Dean, Faculty of Dental Sciences, representing the deans of the other faculties of University of Peradeniya.
Professor Vasanta Tukorala, Director, Postgraduate Institute of Humanities and Social Sciences, representing other Postgraduate Institute of University of Peradeniya. Professor Rafael Tatil, former Director, PGIA, representing former directors.
Professor Saman Dharmakirti, Chairman, Sri Lanka Council for Agricultural Research Policy, representing all government institutes. Mr. Ajit Damunupola, Registrar, University of Peradeniya.
Professor T. Sivananthaval, representing the Board of Management of PGIA. Mr. Nishank Arampat, Bilsa, University of Peradeniya.
Ms. Irani Patirana, Deputy Registrar, PGIA. Ms. Sandaroni Ranasinghe, Deputy Bursa, PGIA.
Dr. Rasanjali Samarkon, Coordinator, 37th PGIA Annual Congress. Mr. Lakisha Utpala, President, Postgraduate Agriculture Student Association.
Ladies and gentlemen, we now commence the proceedings of the inaugural session of the 37th Annual Congress of the Postgraduate Institute of Agriculture. To chair the proceedings, I cordially invite Professor D.K.N.G. Pushpakumara, the Director, Postgraduate Institute of Agriculture, University of Peradeniya. Sir, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, and very good morning to all of you. The PGIA, being an institute for 5 decades, so make a history in Sri Lankan postgraduate agriculture higher education. The PGIA Annual Congress is happening to the 37th time, and PGIA Annual Congress is coordinated by a member from the Faculty of Agriculture. This year, 37th Annual Congress is coordinated by Dr. Rasanjali Samrakon. So ladies and gentlemen, in order to start the proceedings, may I invite Dr. Rasanjali Samrakon, the coordinator of the PGIA Annual Congress, to deliver the welcome speech.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to warmly welcome all of you to the 37th Annual Congress of the Postgraduate Institute of Agriculture, University of Peradeniya. The PGIA established this esteemed research congress over 3 decades ago in 1989 and has consistently upheld its legacy of excellence ever since. This Congress serves as a vital platform for presenting the latest research findings and innovations by our postgraduate students. It brings together national and international scientists, alumni, and key stakeholders from the agricultural research, academia, and industrial sectors, fostering collaboration and knowledge sharing. Over the years, this event has become a cornerstone of PGIA's calendar and the most eagerly anticipated event by our postgraduate students and the research community. This year, the 37th Annual Congress explores diverse disciplines under the unifying theme fostering innovations in agri-food systems for healthy and equitable consumption, addressing one of the most timely and important concerns, promoting sustainable agri-food systems. It is a great honor to welcome our chief guest, Jairo Villamildiaz, Head of Mission, United Nations Industrial Development Organization. We are delighted to have you here with us today. Next, I warmly welcome our keynote speaker, Mr. Rizvi Saeed, Chairman of the Sri Lanka Agripreneurs Forum and Director of Vidur Lanka PLC for the Annual Congress 2025. I take pride in welcoming Professor Terence Madhuchit, Vice Chancellor, University of Peradeniya. It is my pleasure to welcome all the directors of the postgraduate institutes of University of Peradeniya who have joined us today, as well as Professor Barana Jayawardena, Dean, Faculty of Agriculture, and the deans of the other faculties. I also warmly welcome Mr. Krishanta Damonopola, Registrar, Mr. A.M.N.B. Arampat, Bursa, Mr. Maheshwaran, Librarian, along with all former directors of the PGIA, members of the Board of Management, members of the Board of Study, and directors of research institutes. On behalf of the organizing committee, I extend a warm welcome to Professor D.K.N.G. Pushpakumara, Director, PGIA, all teaching panel members of PGIA, academic staff members, Ms. Irani Patirana, Deputy Registrar, Ms. KAIS Ranasinghe, Deputy Bursar, and the PGIA staff members, chairpersons, judges, presenters, invited guests, industry partners, and postgraduate students. This year, the Congress has received 45 abstracts, of which 41 were selected for presentations following a rigorous peer review process. The 5 technical sessions will run in parallel until the lunch break, after which we invite you to join us for the panel discussion, followed by the closing session. With that brief introduction, I once again welcome you all to this exciting scientific program, the 37th Annual Congress of the PGIA. I sincerely hope that PGIA Congress 2025 will be both intellectually stimulating and personally fulfilling for all the participants. Thank you very much and enjoy the day.
Thank you very much, Dr. Rasanjali, the coordinator of the PGIA Annual Congress 2025. The PGIA is working very closely with our students. At the PGIA, we have a student body, Postgraduate Agriculture Students Association, so which work very closely with staff, PGIA staff and teaching panel to uplift the institute. So let me invite Mr. Lakisha Utpala to address the gathering.
A very good morning to all of you. The chairperson, the director, Professor D.K.N.G. Pushpkumara, Director of Postgraduate Institute of Agriculture, University of Peradeniya. The Dr. Jairo Villamil Dias, Head of Mission, United Nations Industrial Development Organization. Professor Terence Madhujit, the Vice Chancellor, University of Peradeniya. Professor Barana Jayawardena, the Dean, University of Peradeniya. Deans of other faculties, directors of post-directors of PGIA, Mr. Rishri Said, Chairman Sri Lanka Agripreneurs Forum and Director of Vidulanka, the keynote speaker of the Annual Congress PGIA, Dr. Rasanjali Samarakon, the coordinator of the 37th Annual Congress, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure and privilege to attend 37th Annual Congress at PGIA. As the president of the Postgraduate Agriculture Students Association. The annual congress is an eagerly awaited event of our membership, and it is the most prestigious event of the PGIA annual calendar as well. I would like to say a few words about the Postgraduate Agriculture Students Association, widely known as PASA. PASA is the student body of the PGIA, consisting of all postgraduate students who are reading for their master's and PhD doctoral degrees. Our membership represents a variety of fields of studies in agriculture and allied sciences. In front of this eager audience, research students representing 11 Board of Studies will present their findings. For the students presenters from PGIA and other local and international postgraduate institutes, it will be an important milestone in their academic career as well. By organizing a variety of social and group activities all year long, PGIA also fosters students' creativity and unity. PASA has a very colorful history of providing social services, including blood donation campaigns, skill development programs, workshops, and PGIA Day in the past. Ladies and gentlemen, the PGIA Annual Congress is without a doubt one of the most respected scientific gatherings in our nation, advancing scientific research in agriculture and related fields. Participating in and organizing such scientific forum will benefit the students in many ways. In the first place, it helps students to keep up the date and expand their knowledge. Research is a crucial part of the academic community progress. By participating in this Congress, students would have a chance to hear from distinguished scientists and discover the most recent findings in their domains. Secondly, the PGIA Congress offers students a fantastic chance to advance their soft skills as well as their research skills as well. Every year, the PGIA Congress Organizing Committee hosts a number of workshops to assist students to develop their research skills as well as their soft skills. We also appreciate the efforts of the coordinators and resource persons as well. Thirdly, the Congress paved the way for the students to be a part of scientific community by sharing valuable research findings. During a research presentation in front of a scientific community is one of the most challenging scenario that we face as students. We as students at PGIA believe that through a high quality scientific communication, we could be proudly recognized in scientific world. So let me take this opportunity to pay our sincere gratitude for the director of PGIA and all the members of academic staff for giving this valuable opportunity for students, and I hope the students will get the maximum benefits from this prestigious scientific forum. Ladies and gentlemen, finally, I would like to thank the Congress coordinator, Dr. Rasanjali Samarkon, and the organizing committee of the PGIA Annual Congress 2025 on behalf of all PGIA students for their tremendous efforts in successfully planning and executing this event. I wish you all a very productive day. Thank you.
So thank you, Utpala. Addressing the PGIA Annual Congress as the President of the PASA and explaining about your wishes from the Congress. The Postgraduate Institute of Agriculture is the postgraduate arm of the Faculty of Agriculture. The PGIA is working very closely with the Faculty of Agriculture, and in fact we cannot escape from the Faculty of Agriculture. So much of our staff is coming from teaching panel, from the academic staff of the Faculty of Agriculture, and we are utilizing all the laboratories of the Faculty of Agriculture, and we have very harmonic building with the Faculty of Agriculture. The leader of the Faculty of Agriculture is always helping the PGIA. Now, may I invite Professor Bharana Jayawardena, the Dean Faculty of Agriculture, to address the Annual Congress of the PGIA 2025.
Thank you, Professor Pushpakumara, Director, PGIA. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Dr. Jairo Villamil Dias, Head of Mission, UNIDO, and the Chief Guest of the 37th Annual PGIA Congress. Professor Terence Masjid, Vice Chancellor of University of Peradeniya. Mr. Rizvi Shahid, Chairman of the Sri Lanka Agripreneurs Forum and Director of Vidulanka PLC, and our keynote speaker. Dr. Gamini Pushpakumara, Director of PGIA, Dr. Rasanjali Samarakon, the Coordinator of the 37th PGIA Congress, all Deans, Directors of the Postgraduate Institutes, Mr. Damanupala, Registrar of University of Peradeniya, Mr. Arampat, Berza of the Peradeniya, Mr. Maheshwaram, the Librarian of the University of Peradeniya, Senior Assistant Registrar, Senior Assistant Berza of the PGIA, all academic staff members, and non-academic staff of the Faculty of Agriculture and the Postgraduate Institute of Agriculture. And also Mr. Lakisha Utpala, President of PASA, and all distinguished invitees, former directors of the PGIA, and my dear students. It is a great honor and privilege to address you today at the 37th Annual Congress of the PGIA as the Dean of the Faculty of Agriculture. And as very correctly the Director Professor Pushpakumara mentioned, from its inception, PGIA has served as the postgraduate arm of the faculty, and strong mutually beneficial partnership between the two institutions continues to be one of our greatest strengths. The faculty academic staff have played central role in shaping the PGIA's excellence, serving as lecturers, supervisors, examiners, and academic administrators. The dedication has enabled the PGIA to remain the foremost postgraduate institute and, in agriculture and related fields in Sri Lanka. The long-standing collaboration is rooted in a shared commitment to innovation, knowledge dissemination, and the advancement of agricultural sciences. Together we strive to empower farming communities, support national development, and nurture research culture that prepares our students for leadership roles in agriculture. The PGIA Congress, now in its 37th year, has become a major academic milestone, bringing together researchers, professionals, policymakers, and students. It creates an invaluable platform for postgraduate researchers to share their findings, engage with experts, and build networks that inspire innovation. Over the years, the PGIA has also strengthened its connection with government agencies and the private sector, NGOs, and international partners, enabling a holistic and collaborative approach to addressing complex agricultural challenges. The theme of this year's Congress, Fostering Innovations in Agriculture Food Systems for Healthy and Equitable Consumption, is both timely and highly relevant. Around the world, there is growing recognition that our food systems must evolve to become more sustainable, nutritious, and fair. Ensuring that food systems nourish people while minimizing environmental impact is now a global priority. This theme calls on us to adapt innovative technologies, rethink traditional practices, and work collaboratively across sectors. It also highlights the importance of equitable access for farmers, consumers, and all stakeholders, ensuring that the benefits of innovation are shared widely. Through interdisciplinary research and strong partnerships, we can transform our agri-food system to support healthier communities and more resilient environment. While the Congress provides an excellent forum for sharing research, we must continue to strengthen our outreach so that our innovations reach farmers, industry, and communities. Translating research into practice is essential if we are to make tangible impact on national development. As we move forward, I am confident that the continued collaboration between the Faculty of Agriculture and the PGIA will enable us to achieve even greater heights in teaching, research, and innovation. By working together and leveraging both local and global partnerships, we can continue to play a leading role in shaping the future of agriculture in Sri Lanka. In closing, I extend my sincere appreciation to the Congress Coordinator, Dr. Rasanjali Samarakon, the organizing committee, and everyone who contributed to this event. I am confident that 37th PGIA Congress will uphold its legacy of excellence and inspire meaningful dialogue and new ideas. On behalf of the Faculty of Agriculture, I wish the 37th PGIA Annual Congress every success. Thank you very much.
We extend our sincere thanks to Professor Barana Jayawardena to his insightful words. Now may I invite Professor Gamini Pushpakumara, Director, PGIA, to address this gathering.
Thank you very much and very good morning to all of you. This year they want to keep the director on the stage right throughout. Vice Chancellor Sir, our chief guest today, Dr. Jario Wilmi Dias, our keynote speaker, Mr. Rizvi Sahid, Dean, Faculty of Agriculture, Professor Barana Jayawardena, the Congress Coordinator, Dr. Rasanjali Samarakon, the PASA President, Mr. Lakisa Utpala, members of the Board of Management, Chairperson and Secretaries of the Boards of Studies, Chairpersons and Judges, presenters of this Congress, members of the teaching panel, directors of other PG institutes, deans of other faculties, past Congress coordinators, past directors of PGIA, chairmen, directors, PGs, and directors of government institutes, registrar and bursar of University of Peradeniya, librarian and senior assistant librarian of Agriculture Library, deputy registrar of PGIA, Ms. Irani Patirana, deputy bursar of PGIA, Ms. Sandharuvani Ranasinghe, staff of the PGIA, distinguished guests, dear students, ladies and gentlemen. So it is with immense pleasure that I welcome you all to the 37th Annual Congress of the PGIA. This Congress is not merely an annual event. It is a living tradition, a platform that continues to inspire academic excellence, innovative research, and meaningful collaboration across agriculture and allied disciplines. We are deeply honored this morning by the presence of our Vice Chancellor, Professor Terence Madhujit. Sir, your visionary leadership continues to guide the University of Peradeniya towards greater height of excellence and relevance. We warmly welcome you, especially knowing your special connection to this Congress as its coordinator in 2010, sir. It's my privilege to extend a warm welcome to our chief guest, Dr. Jario Wilmi Dias, Head of Mission of UNIDO. Your presence highlights the vital importance of international cooperation in fostering inclusive and sustainable industrial development. UNIDO's global work, advancing poverty reduction, competitiveness, environmental sustainability, and innovation, continues to uplift developing nations and strengthen the institutions. Your insights are invaluable as we address today's pressing challenges in agriculture. Dr. Dias, welcome to the Congress. We are equally honored to welcome our keynote speaker, Dr. Rizvi Sahid. The Sri Lankan Agripreneurs Forum plays a transformative role in shaping modern agriculture and agribusiness, serving as the voice of agripreneurs, nurturing innovation, and building bridges between government, the private sector, and farming communities, the dire need of the current hours. At a time when agriculture is undergoing rapid change, your leadership is timely and greatly appreciated. Dr. Said, welcome to the Congress. We are also pleased to welcome the Dean of the Faculty of Agriculture, our founding partner, whose committed counsel continues to strengthen the academic and administrative endeavors of PGIA. So we cannot escape from you, sir. You representing PGIA at the Council of University of Peradeniya. Welcome to the Congress. A warm welcome as well to the Congress coordinator, the President of the PGIA Student Association, our distinguished guests, invitees, and all participants gathered here today. The theme of this year's Congress, Fostering Innovation in Agri-Food Systems for Healthy and Equitable Consumption, captures both our aspiration and, I believe, responsibility. It calls upon us to reimagine agriculture, not only in how we produce foods, but in how we process, distribute, and consume it. It challenges us to ensure that innovation lead to healthier diets, fairer access, and sustainable use of natural resources. Today, as we explore new technologies, climate-smart practices, value chain improvements, and policy reforms, let us commit ourselves to building resilient, equitable, and future-ready food systems. To our students, this Congress is your platform. Showcase your ideas, engage confidently, and build connections that will strengthen the impact of your research. To policymakers and practitioners and industry partners, your presence highlights the essential link between academic research, national priorities, and practical solutions for agriculture and food systems. This year marks our Golden Jubilee, 50 years of excellence, a milestone that reflects PGIA's evolution into a financially self-sustaining institute of the University of Peradeniya. In hours of this landmark, we have launched several transformative initiatives aimed at strengthening postgraduate education, research, and industry development. Lankan rupees 50 million in competitive research grants we spent, we call proposals, received proposals, so about to grant 50 million rupees for research proposals. We are providing research facilitation funds and research publication facilitation funds equaling the provision of the University of Peradeniya, $1,500 for Q1 ranking journal publication. And we are providing 10 PhD scholarships, each worth 100,000 rupees per month for 3 years. And we have initiated and called application, received the application for awards of recognizing outstanding students and supervisors, going beyond their requirement for PhD and MPhil programs. These efforts reflect our guiding beliefs that our students must become even better than their teachers. We are also strengthening national linkage through partnership with NAS, SLCAP, and Ministry of Agriculture, while preparing to launch PGIA Industry Connect, further bridge research, innovation, and industry need. We got the Board of Management approval for that. We are also strengthening, in parallel, PGIA places a strong priority on internationalization, because we cannot compete for students in Sri Lanka with large number of institutes. And we want to expand global visibility through student exchange, joint research programs, and international academic partnerships. Hope to get number of postgraduate research students from foreign countries. Today, we celebrate yet another significant achievement. For the first time in the history of postgraduate education at the University of Peradeniya, Vice Chancellor Sir, our doctoral graduates will be honored with gold medal under each board of study, a proud milestone of PGIA Golden Jubilee year. And in fact, Vice Chancellor Sir, we want to offer a gold medal for our best PhD and MPhil students in next year convocation as well. We are also pleased to bring the 3MT competition into this Congress, and this was introduced in 2018 to the Faculty of Agriculture Undergraduate Research Symposium when I was the Dean, and when Professor Jeevika Veeraheva was the post coordinator. Apparently today I am the director. 9 years later, Dr. Rasanjali Samarakon introducing the 3MT competition, the Postgraduate Institute. So before concluding, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to all who worked tirelessly to bring this event to life. The Congress coordinator, Dr. Sanjali Samarakon, and organizing committee, our dedicated staff, passionate students, and our generous sponsors. So your commitment has made this Congress possible. Ladies and gentlemen, I once again extend my warm welcome to the 37th Annual Congress of PGIA. Let us make this landmark gathering one that advances our collective mission of fostering innovation in agri-food systems for healthy and equitable consumption. We eagerly look forward to the ideas, collaboration, and breakthroughs that will emerge today's discussion. Chief guest, keynote speaker, Vice Chancellor Sir, Dean, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, and I wish you a productive and inspiring Congress 2025.
Thank you very much, sir, for your thoughtful remarks. I now hand over the session to you, sir.
Thank you once again. University of Peradeniya, although we are financially independent, University of Peradeniya is providing the degree certificate. So we are working very closely with the University of Peradeniya. The Vice Chancellor of the University of Peradeniya always help the PGIA to build its strength and also to progress towards the excellence. So today we have Professor Terence Madhujit, the Vice Chancellor of University of Peradeniya. Sir, may I invite you to address the gathering?
Good morning. The chief guest today, Dr. Diaz, the head of mission UNIDO, the keynote speaker, Mr. Sahid, the director PGIA, Professor Gamini Pushpakumara, the Dean Faculty of Agriculture, Professor Parnashavardhana, other deans of faculties, Professor Shama Bannaheka, Dr. Anil Kalupahana, the former directors of PGIA, namely Professor R.O. Tatil, Professor S. Samita, and Professor C.M.B. Dematoeva, the acting dean, Faculty of Arts, Professor Pushpa Vitharana, the heads of departments, the chairperson and secretaries of Board of Studies, 11 Board of Studies of the PGIA, Director PGIHS, Professor Vasanta Tukorla, the Director Chairman Sri Lanka SL CARP, Professor Saman Dharmakirti, the Chairman National Institute of Post-Harvest Management, Professor Rohita Prasanta, heads of departments, dear academic staff members, my colleagues, the Registrar of University of Peradeniya, Mr. K.B. Damunupola, Bursa, Mr. Nisanka Rampat, University of Peradeniya, Ms. Sandarwani Ranasinghe, the Senior Assistant Bursa of PGIA, and Ms. Irani Patiran, Deputy Registrar of PGIA. Presenters, students, invitees, government officials, sponsors, media partners, distinguished invitees, ladies and gentlemen. I stand before you with great pride at the launching inaugural session of 37th Annual Congress of the PGIA, which is a signature event of the academic calendar of the University of Peradeniya. Ladies and gentlemen, it is close to my heart, as Professor Gamini Pushpakumara correctly mentioned. 15 years ago, I was wearing the same hat Dr. Rasanjali is wearing today. That reminds me how we started. This was initiated way back in 1989 by late Professor Sarath Bandara as one of the modest academic gathering, which finally transformed into this magnitude, large scale of event, symposium, bringing policymakers, academia, researchers, administrators, innovators, and private partners together. I can remember the journal Tropical Agricultural Research, when until 2009, it was a single volume book journal. Later on, with the help of many others, we were able to transform into a quarterly journal. In 2010, where I was the editor-in-chief of Tropical Agricultural Research, I did a number of changes. Most importantly, I was able to make it available online. So that gave wider access, better reach for researchers, readers, academia to consult this journal. Finally evolved into one of the top best journals published by Sri Lankan academia. And I am happy to say the Ceylon Journal of Science received Web of Science membership. It is within Web of Science now, and it is on the verge of receiving impact factor. Now, after the changes that we made way back in 2010, thanks to all the PGIA directors, I can remember that time I was closely working with Professor Atula Pereira, who was one of the former PGIA directors, and also other PGIA directors. They helped immensely. Special thanks should go to Professor Chalinda Benragam, I can remember. Thanks to all the contributions by all, that is because of those efforts, the journal stands where it is standing now. I am sure in the near future, Professor Pushpakumara, you will be able to make it even better, getting into Web of Science and also receiving impact factor. We had to work hard to get this sort of accredited and accepted by the international community. And agriculture, ladies and gentlemen, in Sri Lanka faces enormous problems, issues. One thing is that even right now, in 50 years ago, the contribution of agriculture to GDP was nearly 50%, whereas today it is about 7.8%, just barely touching 8%. It doesn't mean that agriculture is not important. Agriculture is more important than ever. That we felt this badly in 2022 when the economic crash happened in Sri Lanka. And we realized how much we are dependent on other nations, Dr. Diaz, on food and agriculture inputs. And we were struggling in 2010, 2022, just 3 years ago, to feed the nation. Although our growth rate, population growth rate has significantly gone down, still our population increases. And climate change is one of the biggest issues that we are facing. We feel the climate change right now. Some of the pests that were limited to dry areas are found in mid-country areas. Rising cost of production. It is extremely difficult for us to compete in the international market for plantation products like tea. And right now, agriculture workforce is about 26% of the entire workforce in the country. It is slowly going down. So that is another issue that we are facing. And quality. I heard Mr. Shahid was talking about in the morning, the quality of our products. Again, one good example, cinnamon, one of the best. Ceylon cinnamon is the best because of the low coumarin content. But we have not capitalized it much. I know Professor Gamini Pushpakumara, Professor Pradeepa Bandaranaike, they are hardly working. They are working hard on Ceylon cinnamon. And value addition to many products, quality of spices, quality of our coconut products, coconut oil. These are some of the main issues that we have in front of us which should be resolved if we are to succeed. Food and beverage industry, ladies and gentlemen, contributes a lot to our foreign income. 3 years ago, we earned more than $300 million just purely on food manufacture, food and beverage. It continues to rise. It is predicted that by 2028, the IQF, individually quick frozen vegetable market, will reach $24 billion. Are we ready to provide our IQF products to the international market? We have big potential. We are capitalizing on tourism industry. Within this year, millions of tourists visited country. Then we have to improve the quality of our food. Otherwise, we will not be in a good shape and we won't be able to reap the best harvest. We won't be able to capitalize our potential. So that is where innovation, research is important. And the PGIA, the oldest postgraduate institute out of 10 postgraduate institutes in the country, is at the helm and leading the way, producing generations of postgraduates in agriculture and allied sciences to the nation and to the globe. And they are working in many places, in policymakers, senior administrators of this country and elsewhere. And PGIA has produced many academic staff members who are working across the 17 universities in the country. And the PGIA, the agriculturists, academia alone cannot improve agriculture in the country. We have many options open. AI, everybody, this has become the buzzword everywhere in the world. The use of AI in agriculture, precision farming, climate smart agriculture, the use of remote sensing, GIS, the digitized extension service. Now, agriculture had the best extension service in this country, Dr. Diaz, long ago, but it was killed. And the extension service has to be revamped. It is high time for Sri Lankans to think of revamping extension service. Recently, just a few weeks ago, not too long ago, the production of pumpkin, people were struggling. Even at 2 rupees, 5 rupees, they could not sell their produce. So there's something wrong. That finally contributes to the severe loss of agricultural produce. We are disturbing our soil. We are adding so much of agrochemicals. We are spending so much of time and money. And finally, a significant proportion goes into waste. Are we doing the right thing? The logistics, operations, the transportation, are we doing the best? These are certain things that we should think of. And this is where agricultural research and innovation comes into play. And I reiterate that academia, researchers alone cannot do this, policymakers. So this is where these kind of forums are important. The PGIA Annual Congress, even despite of the COVID pandemic, we did not stop, thanks to all former Congress coordinators who contributed a lot. Despite COVID pandemic, we continued the annual sessions, PGIA Annual Congress. This is why the bringing them together, academia, researchers, research administrators, policymakers, innovators, the private partners, bring them together, share the experience, share the knowledge, then only we can do something solid, something that can bring our agriculture further up in this country. So let me thank the Congress coordinator today. She is one of my colleagues from my same department, Department of Food Science and Technology. And Professor Gamini Pushkumara, he himself is one of the best researchers in this university. I'm really proud of you, Professor Pushkumara. What you have done, introducing gold medal and introducing research facilitation fund, it was there. Even I had received IFF a number of times, and you have introduced this article processing charge support, as we did the University of Peradeniya. University is very much committed to research. Despite the COVID pandemic and economic crash, the university reserved 100 million rupees for research through university research grant and multidisciplinary research grants. And this year, we even increased that. So we will be reserving more money for University Research Council as well as University Research Grant. And we introduced through University Research Council, those who publish in Q1 journals, they will receive 25,000 rupees each. We just started a few months ago. So this will continue. And we are thinking of, with the help of BIRSA, trying to increase the amount so that researchers will be better rewarded. So without much ado, let me thank the Congress coordinator and the entire team who worked, helped Congress coordinator, the director PGIA for giving the leadership, and also the the administrative staff of the PGIA and the Dean Faculty of Agriculture for supporting this grand event, and especially the sponsors who made this a reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chancellor, sir. So, PGIA Annual Congress is graced by a chief guest. So, may I invite Dr. Lalit Rankot to introduce our chief guest today. Dr. Lalit Rankot.
Thank you very much, Professor Pushkumara, and it is my pleasure introducing, I would say, the most important person of the day, our chief guest, Dr. Jairo Andres Villamil Diaz, to this audience in this beautiful morning. Dr. Jairo is a highly accomplished international development and finance expert with a robust academic and professional background. He holds a PhD in Management and Finance from the University of Andes, Colombia, and a visiting scholar position at Columbia University, New York, USA. Also, he holds dual bachelor's degrees in Applied Science and Physics from the University of Andes. Since 2015, Dr. Jairo has served at the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, known as UNIDO, where he currently leads the country program in Sri Lanka. His work focuses on mainstreaming standards-based best practices in agri-food sector, having the program successfully supported over 130 companies and trained more than 15,000 individuals. His previous roles as UNIDO include International Technical Specialist in Trade, Export and Business Promotion, with impactful assignments in Sri Lanka, Peru, Bolivia, and in many other countries. In these roles, he led program implementation, monitoring and reporting, supported numerous public institutions, and trained more than 10,000 participants across various development projects. Before joining the international development sector, Dr. Jairo was the general manager and partner at Colmetric Private Limited, Colombia. Also, he served as a founding board member of Colombia's national accreditation body. Earlier in his career, he had held significant roles such as engineering director and senior expert in multiple international projects, including World Bank and USAID. In addition to his professional accomplishments, Dr. Jairo has a distinguished academic record as well. He has been a university professor on corporate finance, corporate governance, and other master's level courses at University of Andes, University of La Sabana, and Pontifical Javeriana University, where he has also supervised numerous dissertations. There is more to say, but without taking much time, let me now invite our chief guest, Dr. Jairo Andres, Head of Mission, United Nations Industrial Development Organization, on stage. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. I think with that introduction, the expectation has been very high, has been put very high. So I have to do a bit more of the just not reading only, but also try to introduce a bit of the concepts or the point that I'm trying to deliver here in Sri Lanka. As part of the introduction, it was mentioned that one of my previous lives, I was very active in the academic sector and as a researcher, as a professor as well. So I really congratulate you. And I know firsthand how difficult and how intense and laborious putting all together a Congress on research is. So I really appreciate this. And as I said, because I know how difficult and laborious it is, so I really congratulate you. Besides all the other points, I just want to also mention about UNIDO. Well, we have UNIDO here in this country for over 50 years. UNIDO is part of the United Nations. It's part of the system. We are a specialized agency that is focused, or the mandate is in sustainable and inclusive industrial development. And you are wondering why an institution that is promotion, or the mandate is to promote industry, is actually relating or doing work on agriculture. We strongly believe that any country that will have a truly development in all these social and economic sectors will necessarily have to be rooted from the very basic sectors, starting from agriculture. Not only from the extractive point of view, but actually, as our lemma, or part of what we do in UNIDO, fostering innovation for progress. That is basically what we're trying to do. Besides agriculture, we need to then add up industrialization, manufacturing, and the Dean and the Vice Chancellor was mentioning about sectors. No other sectors that will grow in any other modern economy and will surpass agriculture or industries, but that's a natural cycle. That doesn't mean that agriculture will be less important. Actually, it will be more and more important. So I think you are in the right place, and as UNIDO, we see that agriculture, it's part of the key component that people sometimes forget how important it is. That's why we want to give it a push. Right now, we have BESPA food project that has been for the past 4 years, but previously we had other projects. Just to mention that we also supported the Ceylon cinnamon industry, also promoting best practices in other countries, but for Ceylon cinnamon, we helped the country to achieve the first geographical indication that is very related to agriculture, this intellectual property protection that other products are having, very famous champagne from the from the French region, but you can think about many others in Spanish, for example, Roja wine, or Scotch whiskey, or there's famous coffee, Colombian coffee, and we're trying to support here as well the Ceylon team, GI. Part of that was also creating institutional capacities. That is, this GI sector was invented, or this protection was invented in Europe, and is the strongest intellectual property protection in the world. And together with the National Intellectual Property of Sri Lanka, we help shaping and establishing the National Registry of GIs. Currently on BESPA, we're focusing on 4 value chains, namely banana, vanilla, cassava, and coconut. And we see the potential on many others. Recently, I visited one of the key institutions on rubber Research Institute. And I happen to know that although Sri Lanka is very well known of their, for example, tire products or rubber products, both latex and rubber, only 50% of the raw material is coming from Sri Lanka, meaning that there's still vast potential to expand the industry, expand the agricultural sector in this regard, and having then manufacturing, as I said, at the second level, second component. On coconut, let me just mention that as well. The government wants to increase exports. Obviously, we know that in the 2022 crisis, when that hit us, there was a very serious and severe foreign exchange crisis. That's why the country collapsed, basically. The economy was stopped, but nonetheless, you see how now the private sector, including the agricultural sector, has become alive. And it was just this specific blockage that Sri Lanka had on the foreign exchange rate. That's why exports, it is very important in the government's mind. For that, in the coconut sector, they're planning to have, or we're helping in having a strategy for 2030, to increase the current export revenues from 160 million to 1,500 million US dollars in exports, and in 2035, 2,000 or 2 billion US dollars. For that, in a very detailed, very rigorous way, also with some agricultural experts, we have a detailed plan that will require 1.2 billion US dollars in investment. But the good point, and that was my contribution analyzing the financial part, is those 1.2 billion will have a over 60% annual return on investment. It's a very high. I have to say that it's very difficult to find a return on an investment that is giving us that such a high rate of return. Therefore, you can see that Sri Lanka is having excellent opportunities. And this is just one example. Therefore, my message is keep that high energy, that optimism. You cannot underestimate how potent, how important the impact and the influence that researchers and the academy can have in a country. You're only shaping the young people's mind and giving them the capacities, building their knowledge and, in this case, research abilities, but then you can influence private sector, society, government, and all other decision makers that I'm sure, putting them together, working collectively, you can really achieve excellent results. Then let me read my message. I'm not such very good because I'm usually more in the technical areas, but allow me to read the names of all distinguished attendees. Professor Terence Maduit, Vice Chancellor of the University of Peradeniya, Professor Varana Jayawardena, Dean of the Agricultural Faculty, PGI Coordinator, Dr. Ranjasali Samarekon, Professor Gamini, Director PGI, Mr. Uthpala, President of the Postgraduate Agricultural Students Association, Mr. Razvi Shahid, Chairman of Sri Lanka Agricultural and Entrepreneurs Forum, Director Vidulanka PLC, and keynote speaker today. My sincere appreciation goes to the organizing committee of the 2025 Annual Congress of Postgraduates Institute of Agriculture, University of Peradeniya. It's an honor to join you here at the 37th edition of this distinguished event, which continues to highlight Sri Lanka's leading scientific contribution and its commitment to advance agriculture nationally and regionally. And I'm especially inspired by this year's theme, fostering innovation in agri-food systems for healthy and equitable consumption. This theme is more than just a tagline. It's really a call to action. It reminds us that innovation in agriculture is not just measured by yield, but it's the ability to deliver nutrition, security, and fairness to every citizen. The global challenge of malnutrition, food waste, poverty eradication, and supply chain fragility demand solutions grounded in system thinking and brave, forward-looking research. The work shared at this Congress has the power to reshape how we produce, distribute, and consume food. Solutions to rural poverty, climate vulnerability, and food insecurity lie not simply in growing more, but in growing smarter, distributing fairly, and innovating responsibly. As you engage in academic and technical discussions, I encourage you to reflect on 3 priorities that can maximize the real-world impact of your work. First, embrace interdisciplinary. Today's agri-food challenges require collaboration across data sciences, biotechnology, engineering, economic, climate sciences, and many other areas. Champion sustainability. Innovation must align with responsibility. Your research can drive the shift from extractive and other very basic economic actions to generative practices, building circular economy and climate resilient systems that restore ecosystems while strengthening rural livelihoods. Third, translate research into action. The true value of science lies in its influence and practice and policy. Besides farmers, engage with government institutions and industry partners so your findings and research in this field will be meaningful shaping national strategies. The dedication reflected in this Congress honors PGIA's strong, long-standing legacy of excellence. Your insights are the seed of tomorrow's policies, innovations, and breakthroughs. May this Congress spark new ideas, strengthen collaboration, and accelerate the transitions toward a healthier and more equitable agri-food sector. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much indeed. Actually, the PGIA want to make a stronger collaboration with the UNIDO with some of the activities that you are continuing.
We extend our sincere gratitude to our chief guest, Dr. Jairo Villamil Diaz, Head of Mission, UNIDO, for his insightful and inspiring address. Thank you, sir, for your valuable thoughts and for gracing this occasion with your presence.
Now, let us proceed to the next segment of our program. It gives me immense pleasure to present a special highlight of today's program, the launch of the newest issue of Tropical Agricultural Research, the official quarterly journal of the PGIA. To commemorate this occasion, I request the Chief Editor, Dr. Rasanjali Samarakon, to accompany our chief guest, Dr. Jairo Villamil Diaz, for the formal online launch of the journal. Sir, we kindly request you to remain on stage.
The Congress organizers would like to thank the chief guest of the 37th PGIA Annual Congress with a token of appreciation. I now cordially invite Professor Gamini Pushpakumara, Director, PGIA, to present the token of appreciation. We kindly invite our chief guest, Dr. Jairo Villamil Diaz, the Head of Mission, United Nations Industrial Development Organization, UNIDO, to accept the token of appreciation. Thank you, sir. I would like to hand over the session back to Professor Gamini Pushpakumara, the Director, PGIA. The session is over to you, sir.
Thank you again. And the Congress is providing a platform to learn to our students. So usually we invite a keynote speaker. So in order to introduce today's keynote speaker, may I invite Dr. Nipuna Pereira to introduce him.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. It is my immense pleasure to introduce the keynote speaker for our PGIA Annual Congress. Mr. Rizvi Sahid is a distinguished corporate leader, agriculture strategist, and development consultant with over 25 years of experience in executive leadership, agribusiness transformation, and sustainable development. He holds a BA Honours from the University of California and an MBA from the University of Colombo with professional training in international strategic management at the Swedish Institute of Management in Sweden and in management and methods at the Industrial Society of UK. From 1999 to 2019, Mr. Zaid served as an executive director of Haley's PLC, one of the Sri Lanka's largest diversified conglomerates. During this period, he headed the company's agriculture sector as managing director of Haley's Agriculture Holdings Limited and also led Haley's Consumer Products Limited and Haley's Global Beverages Private Limited. Under his leadership, the group pioneered innovations in agriculture, strengthened rural-urban supply chains, and expanded access to both local and export markets. Currently, Mr. Zaid serves as chairman of Vidul Plantation Limited, non-executive director of Vidulanka PLC, and managing director of the Halal Assessment Council. He has also held key leadership roles, including non-executive chairman of Ocean Peak Private Limited and Hamidias Group. In the national sphere, he chairs the Sri Lanka Agripreneurs Forum and the National Science Foundation's Agriculture Steering Committee, and serves as the president of the National Biotechnology Industry Association. He is also a member of several national policy and advisory bodies, including the University Grants Commission, Ceylon Chamber of Commerce, and the National Science Foundation, contributing to the advancement of agricultural research, biotechnology, and innovation policy in Sri Lanka. Beyond corporate leadership, Mr. Sahid has contributed extensively as a consultant and advisor to international development agencies such as USAID, the World Bank, IFAD, UNDP, and the World Food Programme. His assignments have included agriculture modernization, value chain development, and export promotion projects in partnership with global and local institutions. He is also serving as a lead mentor for the Govilab Agritech Accelerator, an initiative by Hatchworks and Sarvodaya, supported by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, promoting technology-driven agri-innovation among startups. Mr. Zahid is also an author and a thought leader, contributing a chapter titled Private Sector, Role in Promoting Technology Transfer, Agriculture and Socio-Economic Development of the Farmer in landmark publication The Future of Agriculture and the Agriculture of the Future, From Beaten Track to Untrodden Paths, edited by Emeritus Professor Anjit Senaratne. His career reflects a lifelong commitment to modernizing Sri Lanka's agriculture sector, empowering rural communities and promoting sustainable agri-food systems through strategic private-public partnerships. It is with immense pleasure now I invite Mr. Rizvi Sahid to the stage to deliver his keynote address. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that long introduction. It is truly a privilege to be here today amongst a very distinguished audience, particularly in Peradeniya, salubrious, healthy climate, and I'm sure it's a privilege to all of you who work in this community to be enriched by this experience. So thank you very much, and I'm beholden to the Postgraduate Institute of Agriculture for inviting me to share some thoughts which I trust will be of value to the students, to academia, and to the entire agriculture sector from my learnings and involvement in the agriculture sector. Respected Vice Chancellor Professor Terence Madhujit, Chief Guest Dr. Hyro, Director PGIA Professor Gamini Pushpakumara, Dean of the Faculty of Agriculture Professor Barnaja Wardana, President of the Postgraduate Agriculture Students Association, Ms. Lakisha Utpala, respected academics and past heads of the PGIA, dear students, ladies and gentlemen. I am reminded of many stories when I was seated here that flashed through my mind during the words expressed by Chairman, as well as Hyro, as well as the Vice Chancellor, and of course Barnaja Wadana, about agriculture in Sri Lanka. My thoughts go back to many areas, and I'll start with the very north of Sri Lanka, in Jaffna, in my experience in working there, of this lady. She was a single woman-headed household in Jaffna, who exploited and made use of the opportunity that Jaffna offers through an important product, the humble murunga. We call it the moringa. And she had developed this moringa tea, put it into a triangular bag, developed a brand, and obviously had done a lot of research in terms of standardizing the quality, because I know in my experience at Haley's, our attempts to export moringa powder into the USA initially met with a huge problem in that several of our consignments got rejected due to absorption of some toxins post-production, post-shipment. At the time of dispatch did not have anything, but due to some factors during transport, it had a problem. So moringa is a tough product. So this lady had developed this tea bag, given it a brand, and was making a lot of money. And I still think she's making a lot of money right now, because she's exporting the moringa in tea bags in a beautiful pack to markets in the UK and Scandinavia, to diaspora members. But obviously, utilizing the strengths of Sri Lanka as well with the moringa example. Another example that flashed through my mind is something that always troubles me, is that Sri Lanka is a very late adapter to technology, particularly to agri-tech, and also in my involvement with Slintech as well on nanotechnology, and also with some other areas in my involvement with CARP, where I served the council for some time as well, is that we adapt late to technology. And this example is about this farmer in Ampara. This was long before the combined harvester came into Sri Lanka. In the early part of my career at Haley's, I remember going many times to the Department of Agriculture and the FMRC to get approval for a combined harvester that I had researched with a company in Japan called Kubota, before the Japanese came and took over the entire agri-technology, the mechanization landscape. And they had this huge combined harvester, the Kubota, and how we could modify to suit Sri Lankan conditions, because in working in the agriculture, I found a need area for mechanizing harvesting, because the farmers were getting less and less, and there were not enough people to harvest. Cost of harvesting was up, and the wastage from manual harvesting was huge. So here was an opportunity to... So this guy who is in Nampara said, "Sir," in Sinhala, "මට ලොකු ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා. මේ වෙලාවට ගොයන් කපන්න බෑ." So we introduced the combined harvester and modified it in collaboration with the Kubota to make it a nimble harvester that can maneuver our smaller land extents. And it brought great value to Sri Lanka. And then, of course, it's a long story. Today, the farmers, they call it tsunami karana, the field. And today, you can see it has become a business, so much so that even entrepreneurs imported the combined harvesters, now, of course, a lot from China as well. And they use it as a business. So a farmer who owns it in Hambantota will put it on the back of his lorry and transport it to Ampara or Mahaveli areas, and became a business too. So they became, a lot of rich people have got enriched by entrepreneurship in agriculture. So these myriad images of agriculture in Sri Lanka reflect the opportunities as well as a lot of issues which still persist. So I need to congratulate the PGIA for this theme of fostering innovations in agri-food systems for healthy and equitable consumption. It's very topical, it's very appropriate. And I'd like to share in the next 20-25 minutes some thoughts particularly that will be of value to the postgraduate students, the academic community, and most importantly, to encourage collaboration and partnerships between industry and academia, involving all the other stakeholders as well. So these thoughts I'd like to leave with you are captured and distilled from my experience with agriculture throughout the nearly 3 decades. The PGIA, of course, with 5 decades of work that it has done here, is an ideal organization to lead the transformation of agriculture in Sri Lanka, to be a focal point. And I think currently, I think there's no better person than your director, Professor Pushpakumara, who serves in many roles, who can be a catalyst for change and involving all of the stakeholders to help bring about implementation of the theme that you have put across today. So I'd like to very quickly, and a lot of this was covered by Barana as well as the Vice Chancellor as well as Hyro as well, in some of the challenges before us. If you look at challenges, immediately it takes us to the question of what are the innovation solutions that we need to look at. So my presentation is going to cover these 5 broad areas. The third one is this question of healthy and equitable consumption, which is going to cut across many disciplines, from biotechnology to food science to chemistry to economics to logistics, because there are a lot of issues in distribution, in branding, in communication, in lifestyle changes, in value systems that affect this equitable and healthy aspect of our theme today. Sri Lanka's opportunity, and I'd like to spend a lot of time with this as we go across, because there is a lot of scope, and I think, I'm sure Hyro will agree with UNIDO's involvement and a lot of other multinational, government, non-governmental partners, that we can really exploit Sri Lanka's opportunities. And the fifth area, of course, that I'd like to cover is very quickly a vision and call for action, and leave some thoughts with you towards the end. So I'm not going to take too much of time with regard to the challenges before us. This is something that all of us are very well aware of, but something that needs to be seriously addressed in a new light. And this new light is something that I'd like to leave behind with the PGIA and your students and your faculty and the leadership, is that how to think differently. As is spelled out at the end of this slide, which is something that we've always reflected on, the question is not just how to grow more, because we have got a lot of food. For example, our paddy yields compared to 5 decades ago have increased. We have grown more. We can grow maybe a little more chili and other pulses and other grains, vegetables and fruit. Hyro, banana you spoke of as well. We can, a lot of crops in which we can grow more. But it's not just about how to grow more, but how to grow it differently. And how to grow it differently arises from the many challenges that we are facing today. Shrinking land, climate impact effects, the food security issues, the global wars and other things that are disrupting food supply chains. And then very sadly, the dichotomies that exist in the world today where agriculture and food is concerned. There is abundance on one side, even in Sri Lanka at a micro level, as Vice Chancellor did say, we have surplus of pumpkin, or a surplus of tomatoes, or a surplus of onions, or surplus of lime. Now there is no lime, and the lime prices have gone up. And on the other hand, we have shortages, and we have deprivation, and we have, as a result, poverty and low nutrition intake. And we have stunting and a lot of other health issues as a result of this great divide, if you can call it. On the other hand, globally as well, there is obesity. If you look at the average weight of an American or somebody in a developed country, it tends heavily towards obesity. And on the other hand, there is malnutrition. If you look at the Sudan and African countries, and even in Sri Lanka, malnutrition has been showing signs of increasing. And also, loss in terms of loss of yields, post-harvest losses, etc. So we have to address all of this in a different template. And what I'd like to share with you is some of the things that industry has been trying to provide in terms of areas for research, in terms of research topics, or what we like to call market-led research or market-oriented research, that the signals for research come from the belly of the consumer or from the market and all the market players. So, how differently? This picture, in a way, this image captures the aspects of technology, the aspects of nursery management, the aspects of the difference of using different energy systems, solar for cold rooms, for food preservation and prolonging shelf life, cold chains, and all these aspects of the different aspect of agriculture. And this is where innovation comes in. Innovation comes in. I'll just give one small example in my experience. We developed an excellent product folio for global markets, pickling vegetables from cucumbers converted into gherkins that went in bottle jars or sliced products to global markets from the humble farmer in the dry zone of Sri Lanka, whether it be in Mahiyangana or in Putlam or in Anuradhapura or in Hambantota. We produced the gherkins. We produced a lot of products, jalapeno peppers that went into supermarkets in Spain as into jar products at Banderillas, right? So we have a lot of problems with pests and diseases, and fruit fly was a huge problem. So we did engage a lot, and we still continue to engage with the scientific community, with universities, trying to find issues, how to resolve the problem of fruit fly. But we had to find an innovative way to overcome it, because the incidence of fruit fly was such that it was difficult to eliminate it 100%, even if it is. So we had to find ways of growing it under shade houses, in greenhouses, and then using new technologies for screening the finished product in our factories and warehouses to do that. So innovation is something that is very critical, and I think this is something that must engage the mind of every student or every researcher as to how the innovative approaches are so important. And in Sri Lanka, we have a lot of tech adaptation already happening. There's a lot of apps being used for agricultural production. There are companies and startups that have started developing many agricultural related apps that are linking farmers through smartphones. It's not very broad yet. Agricultural extension services is something that is happening, or even using artificial intelligence. So many companies are using sensors, IoT, Sense Agro, Agritmix, and a whole flood of companies. Even in, I believe, even in the faculties of technology, and I'm sure the PGIA also is looking at some of these issues, how we can bring in new technologies to innovate solutions for the problems that the sector faces. But above all this, apart from bringing these new innovations, not only drones and apps, etc., it's also about rethinking systems. I was referring to the rate of the slow adaptation of technology in Sri Lanka. If you really philosophically reflect on it, the answer lies in Sri Lanka's education system. The answer lies in Sri Lanka's education. It is not merely a hypothesis on my part. I have, as far as I could, I have not subjected to a lot of empirical research. There is the connection between our education system and why we are late to be adapters of technology. So it has to come from triggering curiosity from year 1 of our education system right up to year 5 and to O-levels and beyond. The system of rote learning is the bane of a lot of our inability to adapt fast to technology. But there is light at the end of the tunnel, because today when you look at startups and the next gen stream of young people who are coming into the marketplace and into civil society in a productive way, they are thinking a lot differently, because their exposure, thanks to smartphones and the app, they are going beyond the classroom. And I'm sure even in the university systems with the new teaching systems beyond pedagogy, the instruments of learning are helping people to absorb. Today, ChatGPT and artificial intelligence can revolutionize, I'm sure, even food science. It's already probably happening, to look at ways and approaches and provide clues as to how you can work on it. So it's about rethinking systems. And I'd like to leave this thought, how we approach our research protocols, to think of it in an out-of-the-box way, linking it, of course, finally to markets. Where are the signals coming from? And part of this rethinking of systems is the ability to connect with unlikely partners, to get the signals from farmers. I remember in my career at Haley's, and even now if I go to look at people who are growing Gliricidia, and I want to ensure that it is harvestable and large volumes are coming, to go out and listen to farmers and to sit with the farmer in his environment and do a sampling of them and get cross-section of views as to what are the pain points. So the unlikely partners are farmers, the entrepreneurs. There are a whole group of budding entrepreneurs in Sri Lanka, whether it's somebody who is growing bananas in Ambilipitia and he's been growing kolikuttu right throughout, but now he realizes that if he grows the Ambul banana, he can export 10 or 20 container loads if he does the value chain properly and link it and grow it where the readiness and ripeness levels are matched and don't ripe at the same time, and he ships it in different forms. So, listening to entrepreneurs, I think, is a sine qua non for excellence in agriculture. Listening from unlikely partners and to have a receptive mind to want to listen to the signals from all possible unlikely partners. It requires a lot of time and effort, humility, inquiring mind, innovation, and I think a reset of our value system to want to get as multiple approach. And today with smartphones and technology, I think it's possible to do that. And even in industry, in boardrooms, the agenda is reset for business excellence to look for opportunities to grow. And in Haley's, I'll give another very quick example, is coconut shell activated carbon from coconut. Today, HACAB, and I was instrumental in strategizing the concept of the agriculture sector in Haley's, including when we did the coconut shell activation, that's the chemistry involved in producing an adsorption technology product. It's a very high-end product coming from the humble coconut, converted into activated carbon. Right? The signals for improving yields or the charcoal rolling process comes from the heart of the coconut miller or the coconut guy who is in the coconut estate, the quality of the coconut. And then that technology, happy to say, which was homegrown in Sri Lanka, was transplanted into Thailand, where HACAB set up a plant in Thailand because there was not enough coconut to cater to the expanding market for coconut shell activated carbon, to Indonesia and India. So all of this comes from one simple premise, that is listening from unlikely partners for signals to develop products that can bring value. Local and global customers, fantastic. I know academics might not have that opportunity to visit the Anuga fair in Germany or Halal and Kosher fair in New York or in New Jersey, or the Japanese and now the Chinese exhibitions and signals for iced tea. We created a company for, as I was heading it in Haley's for one time, Global Beverages. The ingredients for extracting tea extracts from refuse tea and then processed into a finished product as to a tea powder or tea extract and sold in Japan and China. So all these signals come from local and global customers looking for insights. So I hope, Professor Pushkumar, academics must be provided the opportunity to go out to the market, to go and visit fairs. If you can't do physically, the opportunity to engage in some form via an intermediary. So we are talking about exporting, Export Development Board. I think the Export Development Board, innovatively, thinking outside the box, should have 1 or 2 agriculture, food science people, for example, or agri-engineers, in a mission to go and look out for the signals. And you pick up for the global market, and then you foster the partnership with the entrepreneurs and the business people who to go to those events, pick the signals from global and local customers. Startups. Startups are loka peralena. They are look at some Silicon with the IT startup, but in Sri Lanka, this is the light at the end of the tunnel. Now, I've been serving with a third cohort of startups linked with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, of course, with a few others as well. It's unimaginable how the convergence of sciences, whether it's IT, agriculture science, chemistry, food science, medicine, they're all coming together, and people are looking at various innovative ways to add value to the basic agricultural heritage that Sri Lanka has got, which is very unique. Of course, there are others in this whole, I'm taking a little trouble to explain this particularly for the benefits of students and the graduates here. Put your eyes and ears, your antenna out as far as possible and pick up all these signals, unlikely partners from every aspect of life, logistics providers, the transport dynamics, the electric trucks that can be helped. All these provide signals to reduce the size of your packaging, then the size of, for example, the gherkins we produce in jars can't go more than 3 inches, otherwise you can't bottle it. And enjoy the market share we have in Japan. 60% of the gherkins, Mr. Damanupala used to work for me previously before he came into the university system. We have a 60% market share for bottle gherkins in Japan because we have to find a way to control the size of the gherkins, either through the growing, which is the breed or the variety, or even the harvesting time, or an automation in picking. So, of course, there are lots of other influences from which these unlikely partners can come. Influencers, social media influencers to help people to eat more healthy, the Dambala type of nutritious foods, or moringa-based recipes, or ragi and millet, which are all traditionally based, but nobody is doing work to commercially expand, intensify cultivation, for example, of ragi, which can be a fantastic value add, but an influencer must be able to help design to change and influence people, young people, to eat ragi-based roti rather than go to a McDonald's or a Burger King, right? So religious and social activists are also very important, no? To influence it. So this aspect of unlikely partners is very important. Of course, I'm going to rush through some of these because I think you all are best equipped to focus on this as researchers and scientists as well. The technological innovation, the social innovation part of it, and of course policy innovation. I think the PGIA and everybody involved here in this hall has to have your voice as loud as possible. Even if the policymaker is not listening once, different strokes for different folks is the credo. Try different ways to get across the message that if you are influential in coming up with something that is desirable for agriculture and it's not being heard clearly enough, engage multiple stakeholders. I used to tell even people in the Department of Agriculture on various aspects of agriculture policy, the World Bank will give you one stricture, the IMF will tell you something else, but you have to use your influence, use your strengths, and use data-based evidence to show why it is good for the country. And the non-acceptance of that viewpoint will be detrimental. Detrimental. So I think there's a lot of room for policy work that can come from the heart of the scientists. I don't want to say a political statement here, but not long ago we dived into a catastrophic period of unthought of organic agriculture, which really caused a huge disaster to the country. It's a good concept, but it should have been done in a phased manner. I know a lot of academics and scientists shouted like hell, but in retrospect, did we do good enough in industry? I personally met with some of the guys to show about what's happening, but there was a determination to push that through at great cost to agriculture and also to the people involved in it. So, policy innovation is very important. Again, in terms of the equitable consumption part of your theme, this communications part of it in education is important, and as Vice Chancellor said, agriculture extension is, I think, a first step. Unfortunately, the Department of Agriculture, the Ministry of Agriculture, which invested a lot, the World Bank supported a lot, but nothing to show. In fact, it has reversed. So I think there is a strong case for influencing communication to taking research, and I'm sure today's abstracts will end up with a lot of valuable ideas which needs to be commercially developed and then communicated. If there are policy impediments to any particular thing that is going to cause some harm to the environment, or there's something with regard to some statutory requirement. And also on the consumer side, a lot of education has to be done to show the benefits of healthy eating, lifestyle changes, aspects of what Sri Lanka has got and that can be used for betterment of health, and product development is a big one. And this is where industry is playing a big role, because once a product is known to be commercial, it has to be tweaked to make it viable. So a lot of product development has to be done in terms of taste, mouthfeel. And a good example is jackfruit. We're doing a lot of work, in Sri Lanka is doing a lot of work with jackfruit. The global market, Professor, for jackfruit, not only for jackfruit, but for plant-based meat substitutes, is annually, in 2024, $12 billion US, and growing at a CAGR of 12%. But Sri Lanka is growing jackfruit only in home gardens. So Hairo, this is one of, you asked me in the morning about priorities. This is an economic priority. It is a production possibility, expanding priority as well. If you start growing jack, researching the variety, growing it in gardens, or even if you can't grow it, then you can set up a supply chain for collecting the jackfruit. This is the raw jackfruit, the cost. And there is a huge opportunity in food science and food technology to convert the jackfruit into an acceptable, consumer acceptable meat substitute. There has to be mouthfeel. When you bite a burger, unhealthy burger, with a ragi flour as the casing, and with a jackfruit-based meat patty inside, it must feel like you're chewing into a beef patty. So there is a technology involved to convert the mouthfeel and the taste to make the jackfruit taste. And madam, I'm sure you'll agree, the nutrition and health part of jackfruit can be researched more through varietal development to improve the nutritive content of a jackfruit. So huge possibility. And hamatana in Sri Lanka, it's growing everywhere. If you grow it, but the world is asking for it. Of course, young people, and you have to keep your signal out. The tastes and preferences are changing from jackfruit and plant-based meats. So people are looking now for lab-grown meats and all of this. So you have to be alive to think, either you invested $10-20 million in jackfruit processing and you find the market is now declining. So you have to have the antenna out all the time. That's where this cross-pollination has to happen between industry and academia as well. Branding and packaging, availability and distribution, healthy eating and lifetime. Again, underscoring this where agriculture is concerned, we can't have a production orientation. We have to change, as I call it, the lens from production to consumption. Not that production is unimportant. Production is important. This is an exemplification of the concept of market-derived areas for research. So you have to look at what people are consuming. So shifting the lens from consumption, from production to consumption. No? And in Sri Lanka, we have so much, as we've been discussing, our agri-tradition, our heritage, even though we are a small country, is enormous. In some ways, it's a blessed country. And we have so many blessings in Sri Lanka, from climate to topography, and of course, diversity of people. So you can bring a lot of different types of tastes and come up with innovative products. But this all has to be brought together. And it is possible. It's just that maybe PGIA can be a catalyst, a focal point to look at this new systems thinking concept. Sri Lanka's opportunities. I'm going to go a little faster in the interest of time, but startups are a good point to work with. For example, there is the Hatch. Mr. Jeevan Nanam and his group of guys are doing their, not necessarily for profit, but they're encouraging innovation, bringing all the converging technologies, IT. There are lots of startups that are startup. Spectrify that is helping to revolutionize the tea sector. So many types of innovations are happening amongst the startup community in Sri Lanka. And it's not only startups, some of them are started and flown also. They are now very commercial. And some of them are so big, they even sold. They started with a few, they were attracting a lot of venture capitalists from across Sri Lanka as well. Agritmix is one of my, Prashant Kumar and his brothers started that as a startup. Today they are raising money in the capital markets in Singapore. Getting impact investors and others to invest. Some of these are not known actually in Sri Lanka, are not widely known. But there are numerous examples and success stories that need to be documented and replicated, and maybe we need to have a focal point. Anything related to agriculture and agriculture excellence needs to be brought into focal point and then disseminated from there to all players stakeholders in the community. Spoken about ragi and jackfruit, two of my favorites. Haru, I think you're on the right track with UNIDO supporting maize as well and banana, but there are quite a few others. You need to find a way to distill the priorities because we don't have too much of resources. In economics, we learn needs and demand is infinite, but the resources are finite. So how much of money, how much of capital, how much of land in Sri Lanka, that's another big issue. I've been fighting that for 30 years, from across 4 presidents, to change the concept of the land use policy in Sri Lanka. And we put that into the National Agriculture Policy as well, the last document. But still, there is only talk now about land banks, and this is the second or third time a land bank. So, coastal, this is another huge resource. We have, as I said, Sri Lanka does not have any land, we have coastal resources. And again I have examples which we worked out, which is still being worked out, with seaweed, Capophycus, the brown seaweed variety, which can be converted into a food ingredient, a fertilizer, enhancer of meat, in toothpaste, in value-added forms. So it's now grown, you grow in a raft, you seed it, the Capophycus, it grows after 45 days. The coastal farmers get enriched, they earn about 45 rupees per raft with the raw seaweed, then it has to be dried and processed, biotech intervention, converted into finished products. So these are all areas in which I think I saw one abstract in one of your books, right? So amazing possibilities and opportunities. Public-private partnerships for a lot of these areas, soil regeneration, biochar, soil remediation, using paddy husk or any other bio-waste material to be used. Now, we are doing some experiments and a few people are doing it, but it has to get traction and it has to be supported by a lot of evidence that takes care of environmental concerns as well. This is my final thing with regard to innovations, is that market opportunities also. This is one example of how Sri Lanka and agri-food hub in Europe, and I don't know if UNIDO or any related agency, I think the EU was interested in setting up an agri-food hub in Europe to take all our lovely value-added agri-products into global markets, starting with Europe, to set up a hub there. And from all these varieties of, from the dried fruits to moringa to the herbal, Ayurvedic preparations, and so many that can go into mom and pop shops, sales shops in Europe to penetrate markets, because sometimes these multinational companies or these intermediaries tend to buy products from Sri Lanka in semi-processed form at the value there, and it's about 1000x margin, whereas Sri Lanka and our farmer does get only a 10 or 20% margin on profit, right? So a lot of money is there in the value chain, and I've seen it with my eyes. I've seen companies grow, and we are also seeing some Sri Lankan companies begin to grow. And there are a few that have done it in tea, for example, Dilma, in coconut, the Renukas and a few other companies have done quite well. And this is another thing that perhaps Professor Pushkumara, PGIA can give thought to, thought leadership, the need for a national agri-food innovation accelerator. A national agri-food innovation accelerator where you bring university guys, industry guys, startup guys, guys who have studied even medicine or advertising are interested to do some food entrepreneurial activity. So bring them together and help, maybe Karp also can give Professor some thoughts to this, to match and the meeting of the minds, to bring all of this research as well into a common platform and have a national agri-food innovation. So I hope these thoughts have been useful, that it has fueled your imagination to be able to think through these areas that can be focused. Not many of them are new, but it's ways of thinking that's important. And thank you very much for invitation and to be here today. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sir, we kindly request you to remain on stage to grace the next segment of today's program. Another highlight of today's Congress is Hantana Essence PGIA Congress in brief, an event that provides an exceptional platform for postgraduate students to share their outstanding research in clear and accessible language. This initiative allows all stakeholders, including policymakers, the farming community, and fellow researchers, to engage with and appreciate the latest advancements in agricultural science.
Now, we would like to invite Mr. Rizvi Sahid, Chairman, Sri Lanka Agripreneurs Forum and Director, Vidullanka PLC, to launch the 5th volume of Hantana Essence PGIA Congress in brief. We request Dr. Rasanjali Samarakon to accompany for the launching.
We would now like to extend our heartfelt thanks to the keynote speaker, Mr. Rizvi Sahid, Chairman of the Sri Lanka Agripreneurs Forum and Director of Vidullanka PLC, for his insightful and inspiring address. We kindly request Mr. Rizvi Sahid to graciously accept our token of appreciation. I now invite Professor Gamini Pushpakumara, Director PGIA, to present the token.
Now it's time to take you through the research highlights of the 37th Annual Congress. Please sit back and enjoy the video.
Welcome to the 7th Annual Congress of the Postgraduate Institute of Agriculture, Sri Lanka's premier institution for advanced agricultural higher education and research. For over 3 decades, PGIA has been a driving force in advancing knowledge, skills, and innovation to prepare emerging scholars to address the evolving challenges in agriculture and allied fields. The annual Congress serves as a vibrant platform for postgraduate students to share, discuss, and disseminate their research. On 4 technical sessions, each exploring a key dimension of innovation across agri-food systems, from sustainable resource management to public health and nutrition. Technical Session 1: Water Governance in Agriculture spotlights innovative strategies in irrigation, water efficiency and governance, driving climate resilient and productive agriculture for tomorrow. Technical Session 2: Soil Health, Crop Production and Sustainable Agriculture highlights research on soil management, sustainable cropping and eco-friendly practices, paving the way for greener, more resilient agriculture. Technical Session 3: Animal Production Systems and Crop Development Research. From field to feed, innovation drives resilience. This session focuses on advancements in sustainable crop development and animal production systems, emphasizing integration, productivity, and environmental sustainability. Technical Session 4: Public Health, Nutrition, and Agricultural Extension. Connecting agriculture with health and well-being. This session showcases how research and extension empower communities, promote nutrition, and inspire change towards a more sustainable future. Complementing the technical sessions is the poster session on inclusive knowledge practices in agriculture, highlighting approaches that foster equitable knowledge sharing, participatory learning, and inclusive innovation in agriculture. As we embark on this collective journey of exploration and innovation, the knowledge shared at the 37th PGIA Annual Congress will lay the foundation for resilient and sustainable agri-food systems for generations to come. We warmly invite you to engage, exchange ideas, and be part of the vital discussions shaping the future of agriculture, fostering innovations for healthier and equitable consumption and a better world for all.
The Congress organizers would like to express their sincere gratitude to our esteemed in-house guests by presenting them with tokens of appreciation. To kindly present these tokens, we invite Professor Gamini Pushpakumara, Director PGIA, to the stage, accompanied by the Congress Coordinator, Dr. Rasanjali Samarakon.
We are so privileged to invite Professor Barana Jayawardena, Dean, Faculty of Agriculture, University of Peradeniya, to kindly receive a token of appreciation. We would like to sincerely thank Professor Gamini Pushpakumara for graciously presenting the tokens of appreciation and for chairing today's session. We also extend our gratitude to Dr. Rasanjali Samarakon for kindly accompanying the director during this segment.
We have now come to the end of the inaugural session. We wish to make a few announcements. Technical sessions of the PGIA Congress are now underway. As you can see, participants are steadily proceeding to their session venues. There are 4 parallel oral presentation sessions along with a parallel poster presentation session held at the PGIA premises.
Lunch duration will be from 12:30 to 1:30 p.m. at the Senior Common Room and Imaginario.
The panel discussion will commence at 1:30 p.m. in the Diamond Jubilee Auditorium. We kindly request all participants to return to the same venue after lunch.
We hope you have a rewarding and engaging experience. Thank you.
Thank you.